Welcome back to the Nevada Hoops Podcast. We're doing this recording early on a Monday afternoon. I know we kind of talked about how I was going to try to get these out on Sunday. Realistically, it's probably going to be anywhere between like late Saturday night after the game to somewhere in between Monday afternoon. It's going to be somewhere in that ballpark. I was just got done working 4 nights last night and had some things going on yesterday, and I figured it was more important to get a little bit of sleep before I had to go in as opposed to recording that last night, so we held off. We're on a hour and a half of sleep now, and hopefully this doesn't sound too bad for you guys, but so yeah, that's kind of the plan going forward on that. I guess let's jump right into the recap. Wolfpack got a couple big wins here this past week. First, we'll tackle that last Monday night game against Sam Houston State, where the Pack won 91-75. Yeah, it was just kind of an offensive explosion there from Kobe Sanders and Nick Davidson. 27 and 26 points. Pack started off real hot there. Jumped out to, what was it, like a 13-2 lead, or 50, might even been even a little bit more than that. But you could kind of see, even though we held them to a couple, just 2 points there in those first few minutes, you could kind of see that the defensive rotations just weren't on point, and just kind of, it seemed like everybody was just kind of really struggling to get to their spot and cover the right guy. And I guess, yeah, defensively that kind of continued for the majority of the rest of the game, hence giving up the 75. But which I don't think Alford was too happy with in the post game. But I mean, you got a 16-point win, so definitely can't complain too much. One thing that I was just thinking here when I was writing down some notes for this. So Nick didn't really get cleared for full go until August with the labrum surgery after the season. And then Kobe didn't start where he didn't get to a position where he could officially practice with the team until August. I don't know if that was because he was maybe finishing up his degree at Cal Poly, and so he wasn't enrolled in summer. I don't know exactly what the deal was there, but he wasn't practicing with them in the summer. So that's kind of one thing to keep in mind here early in the season. We got, obviously we've talked about the new parts that we've got coming in, but the fact when you think about the two primary offensive players on this team really have only been able to work out together and with the rest of the team for just a couple months, so there's going to be some growing pains in there. But and I guess, yeah, I mean, with Kobe, it was really interesting, right? That first half was real rough, and you could tell he was forcing it a little bit out there and just trying to get comfortable. And I think a lot of us in the crowd were kind of like, oh boy. But boy, did he settle in and just dominated in that second half, and really, really showed us a lot of the things that he's bringing to the table. A lot of those things we'll be focusing on here in the future. But so, yeah, awesome debut for Kobe Sanders. Trey Coleman with a monster game, 13 points, 8 assists. Yeah, I mean, what can you say? Defensively, he brought it like we knew he was gonna. Yeah. Yeah. Brandon Love, he really showed right away, what he's bringing. It's kind of funny, when we were talking about, I guess, that was pretty cool that we did nail the prediction on Brandon Love starting. So that was pretty cool for the podcast. So I think that's going to be a really nice pair with Love starting at the 5 and KJ coming off the bench. It's really a nice contrasting style, right? It's kind of funny because you've got the similarities in the fact that they both foul at a high rate and are poor from the free throw line. But other than that, they're like polar opposites. Yeah. Love, I felt like he was kind of out of position there. Defensively, I think he was nerves were probably getting to him a little bit. First game in front of the home crowd, just kind of looked like he was a little bit unsure of himself as far as where he was supposed to be defensively. But he finished with 22 minutes, 6 points, 5 boards. So not a huge statistical game, but you can it doesn't. It's really easy to see that extra dynamic that he's going to give to the team offensively, right? I'm sure that's something we'll get to more. And he had a couple blocks, had a couple really nice blocks there. And then just a little bit on the bench in the game. Rollison played 16 minutes, 6 points. McBride, 11 minutes, only had 2 points. He did get us 4 rebounds there. Chuck Bailey, 7 minutes, 2 points. You can see, I guess we'll just kind of jump into kind of combining these first 2 games on McBride and Bailey. Seems like both of them just kind of, as you would imagine, both true sophomores, just kind of trying to really feel out what their role is on this team and what's expected of them. That's one thing I really think this Weber game coming up on Wednesday is going to be really big for those 2 guys, right? I would imagine both are going to get, I would think, at least 20 minutes in that game, and I think it's really going to help them just to both settle down there. And not that McBride is played bad by any means, but Bailey obviously is, he's forcing that shot out there a little bit. And it's gonna be really interesting going forward. I knew that was the one that I could see. You're just really worried about, right? Because you're like, it's really hard to see where the minutes are gonna come from, especially once, and we'll get into Foster, but especially once he gets back, and like when you're in a tight game like Washington, and he makes a couple really poor decisions with that shot selection. The quick hook is coming out, as you've seen, and you just hope that he doesn't end up in the doghouse and really struggle to find those minutes. So hopefully Chuck can get it going against Weber. So what else on that Sam Houston game? Team shot 57% from the field, 46% from three, 68 from the line. Obviously really got it going offensively in the second half. Just was really awesome. We already talked about the defensive rotations. Yeah, I really don't have much more to add on that. Sam Houston went to Tarleton State and drilled them in their next game. So I do think that Sam Houston squad is pretty solid, and I think they're going to be right there contending for the CUSA title again. So that really, it was an overall good win. I guess, and then let's just jump into the big matchup that we had with the Huskies on Saturday night, 63-53 W. Crazy, right? How just the two games were just totally different. How we had our offense just dominated, and the defense lagged in that first game against Sam Houston, and then it's just polar opposite against the Huskies, where the offense just really struggled, but the defense was just amazing, just so on point. Just what a amazing scout that we have done on Great Osobor the two times that we've faced him, right? I mean, that guy, I don't know if you I've watched that dude a ton against other teams, right? And he is the most maddening player in college basketball. He's like a bigger front court version of James Harden, right? In the fact that, I mean, the guy can draw fouls like, no, I can't think of anyone else in the college game that can do it how he does. And we have just done such a good job of limiting those fouls on him, and it's just crazy how we just really get after that double. As soon as he gets the ball, a lot of times we just go right to that double team and successfully not foul when we're doing that. And that's one thing. And I watched Washington's first game, and that was one thing I noticed right away, was that Osobor was not in shape, and you really seen that come to fruition in our game with them, right? I mean, I don't have it written down, but I think he played 30 or 31 minutes, but he just, the motor is just not there right now, and we had him frustrated, and I mean, that was really the key to the game, was how we took him out of it. Just couldn't be happier with the defensive effort on him. Kobe, another big game, 20 points. Just really, really, I mean, didn't shoot it that great from the field, but 9 from 10 from the free throw line. How huge is it? It's just so crazy. Some of the things that he's doing out there, I know we've talked about it before, and everyone talks about it, right? How it's like talking about this, how that 6'9" point guard creates these mismatches, but in both games, you see these. There's these plays where it's just such a benefit to where he grabs a monster rebound, or he gets this huge block, and you're just I mean, that stuff obviously it wouldn't happen if you had a conventional sized guard out there. He wouldn't have been able to pull off those huge plays. But yeah, I mean, I've just been super impressed with Kobe, and it's really cool that the other aspect that everyone talks about with him is is how little winning Cal Poly did when he was there, right? So it's so great to see him perform down the stretch in these couple big games that we just had, and for him to be able to get that confidence going forward that he's got what it takes to lead a team to victory, right? Nick Davidson, seriously, this dude is such a stud. I mean, I haven't talked about it. Think about last year. Like, I just have so much respect for the guy. Plays the last 2 months of the season with a torn labrum, and you didn't hear a peep about it, right? Not one complaint. Dude just went to work every night, and the dude's played 38 minutes in both games. And we talked about earlier how he wasn't even full go until August, right? And he is just carrying us with that, playing that 38 minutes. At the end of the game, he doesn't even look tired, right? I mean, he's just killing it defensively. Talk about an unsung hero. So smart, always in the right place. That kind of playing quarterback defensively, almost with helping others out and getting them in the right position. Just does such a great job against Osabor. Nick with 14 points, 9 boards. Just really nice game from him. Trey Coleman, another solid game. 10 points, 4 boards. Love, again, game was probably better than what the stat sheet shows. Only had 3 points, three boards. He did get 2 steals and a block. So one thing with Brandon, I'm sure we're all seeing the struggles from the line. I think he's, maybe 1 for, what the heck was he? 1 for 5 in that game against the Huskies from the line. I think he was 0 for 2 against Sam Houston. So here's the deal. He wasn't a good free throw shooter last year. I think he was around 50%. But comparing, at least with my eyes, with what I'm seeing, the form looks better. I think he's made some tweaks. The form looks better than what it was last year. And the majority of these misses on these free throws have, in my opinion, they're not way off, right? They're just rimming out on him. I think he's going to settle down, and I think he'll be fine. He'll be fine there. Dude really got hosed on a couple. There was one foul call where, it was his mistake. Just, it was a dumb moving screen. But then there was 2 other calls where he was just kind of battling for position and just really got shafted. But he really, that position versatility, being able to have that 5 that can go out and guard the perimeter. You seen at the end of the game there where he gets that steal out on the perimeter and goes coast to coast and yaks it. Exciting player. I think we'll continue to see better play as he just gets more comfortable out there. But yeah, nice game from B Love. Xavier Ducell struggled against the Huskies. So let's not give up on him too soon. Okay, so we really got to get him going from 3. Okay, I really think it's going to be critical for this offense that he gets at least 6 3-point attempts a game on average. Really, you just can see how the team offensively is just really struggling to try to fit him into the game plan. And I would imagine as it goes, we're going to make those adjustments and get him going. One thing, I mean, a couple of those shots around the basket, I mean, like that, that's not his game. And a couple times out on the 3-point line, we've got to do a better job of, I mean, the guy is no doubt, like I said, no doubt he is a legit one of the best 3-point shooters in the country. Okay. You've got to hit him with a line drive chest pass. So he's not changing his eye level. There was one time he was wide open and we throw him a bounce pass. And then there was another time when he's open and we throw him a lollipop lob pass, and that's just not doing him any favors, right? I think the team has got, that's one thing they've got to work on, is just getting, making those good straight passes so he's not having to change that eye level. That's one thing that I'm seeing that I think can help there. But I think he'll be able to get it going. Rollison with a huge game, 23 minutes, 9 points. Really had when you think back to the game there, just kind of had that feel like he was really the guy that just kind of really saved it a couple times with a big basket. So really played a nice game. I guess the one thing that we really need to worry about, in my opinion, is, so amongst the two games, Rollison has played 39 minutes and he has 0 assists. And usually, when he's out there, he is running the point for the most part, right? And I just I don't know that I felt it so much in the Washington game, but in the Sam Houston game, just really didn't like how he was commanding the offense. So that's something that we're going to have to get a little bit more out of him, right? He's just got to show a little bit more command out there and distribute a little bit better. But don't take that the wrong way. I mean, just huge performance, stepping up off the bench, and just was one of the biggest keys for us there in that game Saturday night. KJ really had an outstanding game. 12 minutes, 5 points, 5 rebounds. Actually had 2 steals. Just played about as good a game as you could ask from him. Did a really good job on Osabor not fouling him. His strength, you could see that it really came into play against a huge team like Washington, right? That's going to be one of the biggest teams that we face all year. And really, really nice having that strong, experienced big that can come off the bench when Love gets in a little foul trouble, or in just situations like that when you got such a big front line that you're going against. But yeah, so that's nice. And then I'm not going to go too much into McBride and Chuck's performance there. We kind of hit that already. Let's touch on Foster on the individual stuff. So another shout out to the podcast. nailed the Foster injury when, to my knowledge, it had not been reported anywhere. And, well, it's unfortunate that there's an injury there, obviously, but we did report that is what it looked like, and that he wasn't playing in the scrimmages, and that was accurate. And he only ended up playing the 6 minutes against Sam Houston, and then reports were that he was in a boot against the Huskies. So I was at the Sam Houston game, and then I was not able to go to the Washington game, listen to it on the radio at work, and then watch the replay on the Mountain West Network the following day. But anyways, so a little bit more on Foster. So it didn't sound, even though he was in a boot, it didn't sound like it's going to be super long-term deal. Alfred said he made a comment about something like, hopefully have him back in a week. So I would imagine we're not going to see him obviously against Weber, and then maybe there's a chance he makes his return against Santa Clara. I'm sure they're really focusing on wanting him for the MTE tournament that we'll have the following week. So I'm sure that's really what they're focusing on with him. And that's really I really think in that Sam Houston game, I really thought that we were missing him in his defensive versatility out there. I think would have really paid off, and it had me worried. I was worried because of him being out of the lineup against the Huskies that it was going to cost us, but we were able to clamp down without him. But he'll be really nice. He'll be really nice to get him in there, and it's going to be super, super interesting, right? Like, when you consider he's not playing at all right now, and last year, I don't know what he averaged, but I mean, it had to be at least 26, 27 minutes a game for us, right? So when he gets back up into that minute area, there's going to be minutes that are going to be coming from other players, so it'll be interesting. But a few more things on the Husky game there before we move on. We are going way longer than I had planned. I don't know. Maybe keeping these under half an hour just is not going to happen. But only shot 38% from the field. Just 4 for 10 from 3-point land. That is another thing that we're going to have to watch going forward. You can't survive with that few of attempts in the modern game today. I know we've never been a huge 3-point attempt team just Alfred in general. I don't think that's generally how he likes to play, but you can't make it with 10, right? You've got to get more up there. You've got to be able to space that court out, or stuff just gets too clogged up. So hopefully we can address that and make some adjustments there. Actually shot 68% from the line as a team, even with Brandon struggling there. So yeah, and then talked about how big that was shutting down Osibor. Don't really have a whole lot else. I think we pretty much covered that. So yeah, let's just jump into just a quick preview of these next two games. We've got Weber State coming in to Lawler on Wednesday. Weber was supposed to be one of the top teams in the Big Sky, but it's looking like that prediction is not going to come to fruition, as I watched them get stomped by Utah State in a scrimmage that was televised, and then they got drilled by Oregon State, who's horrible. So So this, this looks like that. We played them last year. So we're somewhat familiar with them, but I don't think there's anything, out there that you need to worry about. It's just kind of go out there, play your game, work on the things that you need to work on, and should just smoke them. Hopefully, I think the big thing there that I'm looking at is can Chuck Bailey and McBride really get some big minutes and really get comfortable out there. I think that's going to be the two things that I'm in that game that I'm hoping to see. And then moving into Saturday night, we got Santa Clara coming to town. I was really expecting big teams from this Santa Clara team, led by their coach Herb Sendek, who's been around. They're pretty good. They had a big opening night win there against St. Louis, and looked good. And then they dropped one to ASU, which surprised me. I thought they would win that game. But they've got a nice team. They got two really good guards. So Carlos Stewart is, I guess you'd say he's kind of running more on the point side for him. He was a first-team All-WCC guy 2 years ago, and then he transferred to LSU, and he had a lower leg injury at about the 10th game of the season, and he was pretty much done for, and then he ended up transferring back to Santa Clara. He's really a shoot-first guard, not just kind of a shorter, stockier, really likes to attack the basket. Do not want to let him get going. So we'll definitely want to try to put the clamps on him. And that's going to be huge. And then their other guard is Adama Alpha Ball, who I believe was in the draft combine deal and then end up pulling out and coming back to school. But he's like a 6'4" guard, really nice player. He's the other one that we'll have to try to contain, and then hopefully them coming to Lawler, get a little taste of altitude, and get the big W there. So since we're already at 33 minutes, let's move right into a quick analysis of the rest of the teams in the Mountain West, how it went and how it's looking for those. For this episode and for the future episodes here in the next, until conference season starts, I'm gonna start at the bottom of my predicted order of finish, and then I will just work up. So we'll always start with Fresno. Fresno, they only played, and I'm not going to talk about non-D1 games, so only D1 games. They did get the W against Sacramento State, so that was a really good win for them. They got 2 games coming up this week. They are going to get blasted by UC Santa Barbara on Wednesday, and then they're going to Bakersfield. Little rivalry matchup there. You'd hope they can knock off Bakersfield and move to 2-1. Wyoming gets the W against Tennessee State. Beat them by double digits, and it was kind of funny because Tennessee State had lost in overtime to CSU 2 days prior. But so nice win for Wyoming. They're going to get blasted at Texas Tech, and then they've got Utah Tech coming into the AA, And I would think they can get that one right there. So, with these lesser teams, you just want them to be able to pick up a W here and there when they play these lesser teams. We talked about it before. Air Force, when they dropped that opener to North Alabama, I was just like, what in the world? But, the deal there is Bo Becker, he only played a couple minutes in that first game and limped off the court. He's obviously got some kind of an ankle injury or something. He is by far their best player. So that's going to really, really hurt them when he's not in there. They did bounce back and get a win against Jacksonville State. They are playing LIU Brooklyn right now. Actually, I have not looked at the score, but hopefully they can pick up a win there. And then they got Belmont. So even without Becker, hopefully the Falcons can win a couple. San Jose State, oh my goodness. Tim Miles goes from Coach of the Year in the conference 2 years ago to he might actually be on the hot seat right now. San Jose State 0-3, drops 3 games they were all favored in. Just a disastrous start for the Spartans. I don't even know. They don't even have, they've got everyone's playing. They got like a backup center out, but other than that, all their guys are playing, and it is just looking disastrous. They end up getting whipped out on the island by Hawaii last night. I don't even know what to say about that. It's just a disaster. CSU, they beat UND and then struggle overtime win against Tennessee State. And we pretty much told you CSU is not the team they were last year. Kind of funny to see these CSU fans thinking they're going back to the tournament. That predictions that they're going to win the Mountain West Conference tournament. I'm just like, holy, maybe try to find reality. But they have a game coming up against Denver U. Hopefully they pick up the win there, and then they're going to get whacked by Ole Miss this weekend. San Diego State, we told you, watch out for UCSD, and they took the Aztecs down to the wire. Aztecs get the win by 5, but did not look great in the process, and they actually don't have a game this week. Their next game is a week from today, Monday, against Gonzaga, so that'll be a test. UNLV, crazy thing there, we talked about DJ Thomas was in a boot, and they were saying was going to be out for a few weeks, and he's out there playing game 1, which is crazy. Get the W against Alabama State, and then lose to Memphis Saturday, 74-80. So on most weeks, I'm gonna be watching the majority of these games. So with me working nights this week, I was not able to watch a lot of these. I did get to watch the last 8 minutes of that Memphis game, which was probably when it fell apart. And they just did not. Looked really bad. But I don't know. Memphis is a good team, but they just are just all with all the coaching issues and stuff there. You really would have liked to seen UNLV get that win, but they only have one game coming up this week against Nebraska Omaha. Should be able to get the W there. Utah State is really, really looking good. Played a couple not so great teams, but they put up 100 points on both of them, Alcorn State and Charlotte. They actually don't have a game this week either, and then their next game is a week from today against the Montana Grizzlies. So to be seen from the Aggies. Boise takes Oakland to the woodshed in their first game. Oakland, everyone, the fame of last year's first-round victory over Kentucky. Well, that team is all gone, and they suck. And Boise smoked them. And then Boise went down to USF on Saturday, and we all thought they were going to take care of business, but they lose 73-84. And so just a few notes. I did not watch that game. I will try to go back and watch that one. But so we talked about with Boise the areas of concern on why I did not think that team is at the level that some were claiming. So they were just 3 for 16 from 3 in that game against USF. And Dylan Anderson, the center, just played 13 minutes, 4 points. I did watch him in that Oakland game. He's the 7-footer transfer from Arizona. So he has does have a really nice looking mid-range shot, and even drained a 3 in that Oakland game. But as far as like everything else, everything that the other things a traditional center is going to do, let's just say jury's still out on him. Javon Buchanan, the NAI transfer, he looks like he's the sixth man, and he has played pretty nice for him. But like we said, so you've got and Andrew Meadow did end up being that last starter for him. They just decided to move him into the starting rotation. But so after that top 6, I talked about there's just no depth there, and so the other 4 rotation players in that USF game combined for 5 points. So that's going to be something to keep an eye on for the rest of the year. They are going to need more contribution from that bench. And it did look like Omar Stanley must have got into foul trouble, because he did not play a ton of minutes in that game. So that might have played a part in the loss also. But they have Clemson coming into Boise on Sunday. So that's going to be a big one. It'll be an interesting match there. New Mexico beat Nichols in that first game. Didn't look super sharp, but then they were able to knock off UCLA 72-64. Really nice win for the Mountain West. A lot like we talked about the last episode. UCLA's got some big expectations this year. I personally don't think they're that great, but either way, really nice win for New Mexico. They've got Texas A&M, Corpus Christi. They should lay the smack down on here in a midweek game, and then they are traveling to Daddy's house on Sunday to take on St. John's. That'll be an interesting one. That's it. Way over the time again, 43 minutes. But thanks for tuning in. We're going to continue to try to get better at this. If you guys can make sure that you're subscribing to whatever podcast app you're using to listen to this program, that's really going to help the numbers that I'm seeing. So if you're like subscribing, liking, rating, any of that stuff is really going to help. And word of mouth would be huge too. If you guys are liking what you're hearing, tell a couple of your buddies to check it out, and hopefully we can just keep getting these numbers up. But so thank you for tuning in, and we will be back with you in approximately a week. Later.